Well, isn't that interesting? I'm sat here on the banks of the Rochdale Canal and I was making this little video when along came a little grey dog that was walking towards me with a lady. And I said hello to the dog and then looked up and realised that the lady is Sister Francis from St Martin's Church. Now, I went to St Martin's Church to meditate a couple of months ago, and that was the first time that I met Sister Francis. And immediately I saw her, I said, "Oh, you look like an angel." She's beautiful. So we've just had a very lovely chat, but I had actually forgotten her name. So, morning. So I asked her as she was leaving, and she told me. Now, the reason I'm excited about the Sister Francis thing is because I found out recently that my birthday is the same day as the feast day for St Francis of Assisi. So there's some more confirmation to me that I'm on absolutely the right path, because I've spent the last few days being a little bit paralysed by fear. I've got a book that needs to be published, but it's not finished, and I need an editor, and I need somebody to send it, like an agent, to send my book to a publisher. But the problem is, my agent and editor are one and the same person, and he's unfortunately suffering from mental health problems at the moment. Now, I had my own bout of mental health problems last year, and I spent 3 weeks in hospital, and it's been difficult coming back from that. But I've done it. But it's been a really, really hard road. Now, I've got to where I am today by believing in myself. But in order to get to the state where I do believe in myself, I needed other people to believe in me first. So I don't feel able to get myself another editor, because I know how much my editor needs somebody to believe in him, and I know he'll do a brilliant job, and nobody deserves it more than he does. So at the moment I'm editorless, but I've realised this morning, thanks to Rocky Crogfoss, I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name, but I'm going to find it. Crogfoss. I'll post a link to a video that he's done, and this morning he's done a distance healing with me, and he's reminded me of a lot of things, and he's helped me with the blockage that I had. And I realise now that the reason I had this blockage is because in my lifetime I have had so many problems, like deep emotional problems, that have been caused by writing letters back and forth, and then in today's world writing texts or emails, and it hasn't always come across the way that I've intended, and it's hurt, but it's really confused me for a long time as well. Now, talking to Rocky this morning, I remembered all about energies, and everything that Tesla taught about energies, and everything has an energy, everything has a vibration, including words. Now, when you speak the word, the intention is it's a lot more easily understandable because it's got tone, so you can hear the vibration of it. But when it's a written word, it has a different vibration. Now, this is something that is coming to me today. So everything has an energy, but everything that has an energy only carries the energy that you or I attach to it. So one word could mean it could have one association in your mind, but that same word could have a completely different association in mine. So therefore, that one word has two completely different vibrational energies. And choices of phrase are very important as well, because if I happen to use a phrase in my writing that you have heard negatively from somebody else, there's a very good chance that you'll read that phrase in a negative way, even though it was written with love. So that's where my issue is. My issue is with publishing a book that has the danger of being misunderstood. And if there's one thing that really, really upsets me, it's being misunderstood. I'm a proper little sensitive girl about being misunderstood. And Rocky has really helped me to get back in touch with my inner child today. And that's helped me as well, because my inner child has been indulged for a really long time. I'm a proper happy kid in an adult's body. Yeah, I am a really happy girl. My dad said that in my wedding speech. Sarah was always a happy girl. And I still am. Because I'm really in touch with my inner child. I indulge her from time to time, but I don't spoil her. Not often anyway. I do from time to time. But she's always so grateful. Now, you don't mind indulging a child who is always so thankful and appreciative and shows her gratitude with joy. So she's a lovely little girl, my inner child. She doesn't really get bratty. She doesn't need to, because she knows that, if she can't have it now, if she behaves herself and works hard, then there's a good chance she'll get it tomorrow or the day after. She'll get it when she deserves it. But one of the things that's really come up this week is how differently my brain works to most other people's. And the problem is, because I've always had this brain and I've always thought the way that I think, I've always naturally assumed that everybody else thinks the way that I do as well. But they don't. Most people don't think anywhere near as much as I do, let alone the same way that I do. So how can anybody else be expected to understand me when they don't think the way that I do? And not only do they not think the way that I do, but they don't have the same information that I've got. They've not had the same life experiences. They've not had the same relationships. They've not listened to the same music or seen the same films even. And all of our perceptions and understandings of the world around us they do all come from what you see. You become what you see. And in the process of writing my book, I realised I'm actually really good at that, at creating my own reality. And it started really young. So I'll just give you a little taster of what the book's about. When I was little, Mum and Dad used to read stories to me all the time. And I was a really good reader as well, so I read a lot of books, like just kids' books. I'd read my school books and then I'd read anything else I could get my hands on. And I really loved the stories about like Arabian Nights and flying carpets, all of those things. And I read a lot of Enid Blyton, and I loved Secret Seven and Famous Five and being able to explore on the beach and like secret passageways everywhere and castles and smugglers' coves and stuff like that. And then when I was 9, my dad got a job in the Middle East. So we went to live in the land of the flying carpets. And we saw Bedouins and, we had great experiences over there, amazing experiences. But I was living in the desert, pretty much. And then when we were living over there, I carried on reading Enid Blyton books, but I was reading Mallory Towers and St Clair's and dreaming about going to boarding school and having midnight feasts. And my favourite character was Carlotta. And she was, she's described as a wild gypsy girl, but I thought she was amazing. I absolutely loved her. And I would have loved to meet people like Carlotta. She was fantastic. So when it came to all my friends going to boarding school, I didn't go to boarding school. We couldn't really afford it because, I'm the eldest of 4 children. There's another 3 kids to think about. So I ended up back in Rochdale living with my auntie and uncle and going to school here. But there was a few niggly issues, and when I went over to the Middle East for Christmas, when I say niggly issues, they were big to a 12-year-old. So I asked Mum and Dad not to send me back. So they set to work on trying to find a boarding school. And then when they did find it, flipping heck, not only did I wish myself a place in boarding schools and the opportunities to have midnight feasts, but my boarding school wasn't in rainy old England where you have to get up in the dark and struggle through snow and rain and slush and cold weather. My boarding school was in Cyprus, my favourite place in the entire world. We'd been on holiday a few times there, I think 3 times before I went to school there, and I just loved it. So yeah, my boarding school that I wished into existence was in like a really beautiful country. They had the Mount Olympus, the Troodos Mountains, loads of history, castles, and people from all over the world. I had friends from Somalia, Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Syria, Egypt, everywhere. Lots of Middle Eastern countries. There were kids that had been to school in America. There were Greeks, Cypriots, we all lived literally as a family. It was such a place of love. The school was run by born again Christians, and for the last few years I've not really appreciated that, and I've been a bit like, oh yeah, and I was like religious and a Sunday school teacher, and I've kind of taken the mickey out of myself a little bit. But now I realise how lucky I was to have been brought up. I was in a different country than my entire family. I didn't have anybody in the country that I knew. And yet I was enfolded in love, absolutely enfolded in love. And, anything that ever went wrong, there was always somebody there to help to make it better. It was brilliant. So yeah, then as I was writing, it was like, hang on a minute. This is not just Enid Blyton. This is kind of like Harry Potter, because Harry Potter lived with his auntie and uncle. I mean, I didn't have to sleep under the stairs. I had my own bed and everything. They were nice, but they weren't uncle and auntie, whatever they were called. I can't remember. And instead of Hagrid turning up on the doorstep and flying me off on a flying motorcycle, I just got taken to the airport. And then a big bird flew me to a different country, a big metal bird. And then I got sent to the Island of Love. So another thing that I've been looking into is like metaphysics, and as I say, with the whole energies thing, we create the energy that surrounds whatever it is we're focusing on. So if we're focusing on a particular situation, we've got 2 choices really. We can look at it from the bad point of view and the negative, and give the negative extra energy, or we can look at the positive, find the positive. Sometimes it's not easy to know what the positive is. You have to have a really good search for it. But then once you've found the positive, then accentuate that. Accentuate the positive. And when you get into the habit of doing that, your life changes. I've spent a long time worrying about what other people will think, because my friends have been so worried about me, and my family, my friends and family have been incredibly worried. Now my family, they're at ease now, because they spend time with me, they can see that I'm okay, so I think for the most part they're all right. And I've been a bit annoyed at my friends because they've just not understood me at all. And I've been quite angry about that. But I've let that go now, because I realise it's not their fault. They have been worried about this inner child that everybody sees. The little happy-go-lucky girl who goes jumping in puddles and, singing at the top of her voice and dancing on tables. I must be seen as a little girl. I must be. So when you see somebody who's acting childish, even if it's in a fun way, you kind of don't credit them with having any common sense. But the thing is, a lot of my friends haven't seen me being mum to my girls. They've not seen the struggles that I've had to go through to get to where I am today, to have my own house, and so they don't understand how capable I am. I'm really, really capable. So while I've been annoyed with them, for trying to stop me from doing what I wanted to do. I've been stopping me from doing what I wanted to do because I've been spending all my energy on being annoyed with other people. Now, that's not to say that I've spent the last 9 months being annoyed with people, because it's not true. It's not true at all. That's not a today realisation. That came quite some time ago. But yeah, as soon as I let that go, things did start to get much, much easier again. Much easier. So, as I say, I've got this book and I'm relating things in my... I mean, the coincidences, so-called coincidences in my life are ridiculous. So let's talk about David Bowie, because this is one of my favourite stories of the week. This week marks the 42nd anniversary of David Bowie's single, Life on Mars. That's quite significant because there's a lot of talk about aliens and full disclosure, and they're going to show themselves. That's a very pretty bird that's just flown right across in front of my face. I don't know what it is, though. I need to learn about birds. Bill Oddie, come and talk to me. I used to think that your mum used to be my babysitter. Let's have a discussion about that. Anyway, forgot what I was saying now. The birds. Oh, I've got such wonderful stories to tell. My stories involve Disney a lot. And last year, I got what was essentially a free holiday to America. How lucky am I? I got $3,000. £3,000 just appeared in my account. I was expecting it, but it wasn't money that I'd gone out to work for. You know, I'd not had to work hard for it. I just got my hand trapped in a door. So they gave me £3,000 by way of compensation. So I booked holiday to America. Very exciting. To stay in Atlanta for like 11 days. Got to Atlanta. Ended up only spending 3 nights there, I think. And on the like after the 3rd night, I was like, a bit bored here. I was going to drive down to Florida to see my friends, but these roads, hello fly. The roads in America are a lot more scary than the ones in Spain, so I wasn't brave enough to brave the roads. So I got in touch with my friends that I was going to see and let them know that I was nervous, and she said, right, leave it with me. And then came back to me and she was like, right, get yourself to the airport, I booked a ticket for you. So she booked me a ticket, but not just any old ticket, first class if you don't mind. So I was sitting on the front row of a big aeroplane, and I flew down from Atlanta to Florida. And then when I got to Florida, my friends took me to their house, which is beautiful. And I was living in the guest house, if you don't mind, not just a guest room. And they've a massive pool and a lake at the back of the house, and everything's stunning. Outdoor kitchen, fully stocked bar, better than a lot of bars you've ever been to. And then they took me on a Disney cruise. How exciting is that? I was honestly like a kid at Christmas going on a Disney cruise. I don't care that I'm 43. I was 43 then. So we went on this Disney cruise, and there's a whole story about going to the Bahamas in the book that I'm not going to do a spoiler for. And then we went to Disney's private island. Now, that is an amazing place. Amazing. And things have been happening on an ever escalating scale for me. Wonderful things like that ever since. So this book is my story, but it's not just about telling my story. It's kind of a demonstration of how everybody can tell their own story. And you don't need to tell it to the world. I mean, I'm just a chronic oversharer. I've always been rubbish at keeping my own secrets. But I'd like to share my secret with you, because I know that every one of us has got a story like this. And it's so healing. Oh, it's freeing, liberating. It's wonderful when you start to realise how much you've affected your own life. It's amazing. So I'm just sitting next to the canal in Rochdale, and feeling completely secure in the knowledge that things are changing for the better for all of us. I really like that dog that's just gone past. I think it might be a King Charles Spaniel. Oh no, it's not. Oh, it looks like a cross between a pug and a King Charles Spaniel. How cute's that? I might have to ask what he is. That's a lovely dog. What breed is he? Is he a mix? A King Charles. Oh, that was my first impression. I love the way he runs. He's lovely. Aren't they all? It does look very strokeable though.
Oh yeah, she is. Hey.
Oh, she. Sorry.
Hey.
Fifi.
Fifi. It's not our choice of name. It's just that we got it off somebody last year and didn't want to.
Oh well, I love her.
Change the name 'cause it's too much.
No. No, we should all keep the names we're given. Oh, really?
My husband said, I am not calling Fifi.
Fifi Trixabel. Hello. How are you? Look, this is Fifi.
That's it, you can have it.
Oh, she's lovely. Thank you. Oh, wasn't that lovely? Fifi Trixabel. Yeah. That was a really good reminder because I've been thinking about the elementals this week. They've been put into my head by lots of other people. There's quite a few people talking about fairies and pixies and everything else. And along comes Fifi Trixabel to remind me. Now, I took part in a Divine Council meeting. Or I observed a Divine Council meeting on Saturday last week. And I knew the elementals were there then. And over the course of the past few days, I'm nervous to say it, but I'm going to say it. I've come up with a theory of evolution of the soul because I read a book called A Soul's Journey that explained up to certain levels. But I think that's just what I've read so far has just involved the animal kingdom followed by the human kingdom. But I believe there's a lot more besides that. And this is where my nerves start to kick in because so many people are just going to be like, she's talking about fairies and unicorns, bloody nutter, and they'll just switch off. But those are not the people that I'm talking to. I need to just stop worrying about what they think because I'm talking to the people that know that I'm right. Because everything you can imagine is real. I think it was Picasso said that a long time ago. It was one of the artists anyway. And that's because everything that we can imagine we've seen on a different dimension when we've been meditating or dreaming or whatever, however each person accesses a different dimension. That's where they come from. So we see those things in dreams or visions or whatever. And just because we can't touch them or see them with our human eyes, we just dismiss them as being not real. But for those stories to have appeared, they have to be real somewhere. Now, they're not necessarily real on Earth, but I don't think that was always the case. I think they may have been. But this is what I'd like to discuss. So I am getting to the point. I never like to talk too directly because I study quantum. So I talk in a quantum way and I think in a quantum way. So my apologies for not making complete sense all the time, but I do get there eventually. So I forgot what I was talking about again now. Yes. This morning when I had my healing with Rocky, see, another film. I love the Rocky films. When Rocky did the healing this morning, he was talking about energies, and that train has just completely distracted me. This is why I need an editor, because this is how I think, and I start talking about something and I don't explain it fully because I know what I'm talking about. I feel like I need to be interviewed by Olivia Dunham and maybe even Walter Bishop, because I kind of feel like I've got so much information now that I'm the human form of artificial intelligence, because I feel that I understand so much, but I'm not sure how to get all of it out there, and I feel that I need to be debriefed. If there's a real Olivia and Peter and Walter out there, I think I need to talk to you. Maybe it'll be Will Smith, Men in Black. Who knows? David Bowie, that's what I was talking about. It's the 44th anniversary of David Bowie's Life on Mars. 42nd anniversary. Now, any geek worth their salt knows that 42 is the meaning of life. Human beings are not the only life forms in the universe. Just don't even try telling me that, because you're just talking nonsense if you believe that this little tiny speck in the entire universe is the only planet that's got any life on it. Ridiculous. There is life out there. But at the moment, it's on a different dimension where human eyes can't see. And as time goes on, that'll change. But on the sleeve, or on some notes or something, David Bowie wrote that this is a story of a sensitive girl and her reaction to what she'd read in the media, or something like that. But he'd crossed a load of stuff out. And my story is the story of this super sensitive little girl's reaction to everything she's ever read and seen. Because everything that I've ever read and seen has manifested into my life. I went out on Valentine's Day because of a song by The Fall called Tales from the Castleford Crypt. And the reason that song made us go out was the decision was made just on one lyric. But then once we made the decision and everyone was getting ready, I read the lyrics to this song. Now, The Fall don't play music that I particularly like. It's a bit too heavy for me. But my friend James had introduced me to it. And when we went out that night, there's a long story about it, which I have blogged. You can read the whole story. But by random coincidence or synchronicity, we ended up sat in a pub called The Castle. Now, I live in Castleton in Rochdale, and my name's Sarah, which means princess. So when they said they were taking me to the castle, it was like, yes, of course the boys are taking the princess to the castle. And then when I sat down, various things happened, and it turned out that the guy I'd sat next to in this small room in a fairly small pub was the guy that mixed the Tales from the Castleford Crypt. I couldn't make this stuff up. I've done a blog about it. It explains all the lyrics and everything. It's just like, what? Now, another thing that David Bowie had written on that record was that it was inspired by Frank, meaning Frank Sinatra. Now, I went to the Ramsbottom Festival last September. 2 days before I got put into hospital, I was there with my little friend Dib Dob. Now, Dib Dob is a massive fan of David Bowie. And it was him that brought that picture to my attention. And my friend James, who took me out on the night that we went out in the castle, which was Valentine's Day, by the way, really looks like David Bowie. And I would love to get him and Dean together, him and Dib Dob together. Do his face and take pictures, because he's a real good photographer, Dean. So yeah, I've got James, Dean. Dean took me to the Ramsbottom Festival, and my uncle Frank loved Ramsbottom Cricket Club. He was a member there, Frank Feven. They'll know who he is. His wake was held at the Ramsbottom Cricket Club. And I knew that it was a significant day. I met some people that day that are still a part of my life and have introduced me to other people, and a lot of connections were made from that one day. And one of the people that I met looked like Captain Jack Sparrow. That was kind of what brought them to my attention in the first place. And I've realised that when I was on Castaway Cay, which is Disney's private island, I was on the adult beach, and there was Captain Jack Sparrow, and I had my photograph taken with him. But when we'd got off the boat, the ship, Daisy Duck was waiting on the dock of the and she was sitting on the dock of the bay, and I have a photograph taken with her as well. And the day that I kind of really fell apart in front of everybody's eyes was the 9th of September last year. Now that was a full moon, and I went and handed in my notice at work, and then I went and sat in a bar all afternoon, drinking whiskey cocktails. I don't even like whiskey, but they were actually really nice. And I didn't even have money in my purse. So my friends came and found me and rescued me. But in the process of looking for me, they'd gone and asked a woman if she'd seen me, and she said, "Oh yeah, I did see her. She was wearing a Daisy t-shirt." And my daughter was like, "I don't think she's got any t-shirts with flowers on." Oh, and then she realised that it was my Daisy Duck t-shirt. Now, I'm not the kind of girl that wears character t-shirts. I always have quite plain clothes on. I don't know what made me buy that Daisy Duck t-shirt, and I don't know what made me put it on that day when I had a complete breakdown, but I was wearing a Daisy Duck t-shirt, and it was noted that I was wearing a Daisy. I'm glad it was noted, because I wouldn't have remembered what I was wearing. So all of this tells me that I'm here to do something important, but I need help to do that important thing. I don't have the technology or the money to sort all of this out for myself, and I need somebody who can help me to publicise this story so that I can find a publisher. Because I've got so many stories in my head of a wonderful future that, although I can't write the films or the stories, I can give suggested storylines, and I don't know how to do that, or who to send them to, or whatever. I need more contacts now, and I don't really know where to find them. So that's why I wanted to put this out there, because I know that a lot of you are going to understand about all these energies and stuff, and the energies that we attach to things. Now, at the moment, the energy that's attached to my work is a little bit nervous. It's mostly loving and confident and everything else, but there is a little bit of nerve in there. And I need other people's help to just transmute that little fear, please. I know there's a lot of you out there already that do believe in me, who've witnessed parts of my life, and they've seen the magic that I've created. They've seen the wonderful girls that I've created. I mean, I know they put an awful lot of work into it, but you know, they needed good influence, and I've been that good influence. My girls are amazing. I couldn't be prouder of my kids. So yeah, I know there's loads of you out there. Look at me being all bloody serious again. I know there's loads of you out there that believe in me. So if any of you who do believe in me know someone who might be able to help me to do something about this, like maybe Doctor Who would be nice, or Brad Pitt, maybe George Clooney, probably George Lucas. I think George Lucas needs to be my first stop, and J.J. Abrams, because those two people, and Disney as a whole, will completely get where I'm coming from. I don't know why I get nervous, you see. They will understand. And as I finished that sentence, there was a train going past. But also, the time on this video was at 00:33 minutes and 33 seconds. Now, the bit that I know about numerology tells me that means the Ascended Masters are very nearby. There's an awful lot of them. And the zeros amplify the already repeated threes. And the fact that there's 2 zeros amplifies it even louder. So look how many Ascended Masters want this to work. It's all part of the plan. It's all part of the plan. So somehow, some way, this... Oh, I didn't tell you about Babananda. Babananda. Despicable Me. Right, this will be my last little story now. I love watching Despicable Me with my little grandson Charlie, who is the most amazing kid ever. Ever, ever, ever. I love that boy. So we were watching it, and I started to laugh because the man that I can't even remember everybody's names because I'm just watching it with Charlie. But anyway, when the big guy introduces himself as Silas Ramsbottom, he was like, "Hi, Ramsbottom." And then the woman I don't know what she's called, is demonstrating something, and she's doing a siren sound, but instead of saying it like people normally say it, she's going Meemaw, Meemaw. Now Charlie, I'm Charlie's Meemaw. I'm not his grandma. I'm not Nanny. I'm not whatever. I'm Meemaw. So there's Ramsbottom, where things took a major turn for the better, and I met a Johnny Depp lookalike, or a Jack Sparrow lookalike rather, and then Meemaw and all the minions, and the Divine Council meeting that I took part in, or that I contributed towards it. I sent in a few messages. That was hosted by my relatively new friend Babananda Christensen. And every time I read his name, it always makes me think of the Minions. The bloody banana song. Ba 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 nanda. And I know Babananda and I need to have a chat. We need to have a chat. And he can record it because that's what he does, and he can host it on his SoundCloud, and I can host it on mine. And I've got other friends that have got radio shows, online radio shows. I need to be able to talk about this now. I don't want to write about it anymore. Number one, writing's a lot of effort, and number two, I can put the correct energies into the words when I'm talking about them. We wouldn't have shared excitement. We can have shared vision. At the moment, it's all very dependent on the views of the reader. Whereas when my voice energies are there, and my laughter and sense of humour and all my general stupidity, along with the wisdom, when all that's allowed to come through, things will happen. And it needs to happen. We all want good things to happen. The sun's starting to come out. Look at the view. Let's just turn this round. Can I turn the camera around while I'm doing it? No, I don't think I can. So let's just do it that way. It's a beautiful view. Yeah. So let's get some good stuff out there. I'm going to stop stressing and worrying. I'm going to send this video to Doreen Virtue and Tracy, whose surname I can't remember, at Louise Hay Publishing. Louise, hey, come talk to me. Where other people see energies in numbers, I get my energies from words, very definitely. I do a lot of word association. So it helps me to think, it helps me to understand. I don't worry about the actual spellings of words anymore now, because I feel that the mistakes are there for a reason, so that I'll think about things in a different way. So rather than getting all hung up on, oh, you shouldn't spell that like that in that context, now I'm like, that's an interesting way of looking at it. And I quite often get some really good insights like that. So it's kind of like the Kiefer Sutherland TV show. I can't remember the name, and he had a little autistic son.